Hey everybody, Kyle Sasser here, and it's everyone's favorite time of the month. That's right, market statistics time. These statistics are for Pinellas County for the month of February 2023. So you're probably asking yourself, if you've been watching these videos for a while, Kyle, why is your hair back in a bun? Well, I actually have a hair appointment scheduled for tomorrow. Hair was getting a little bit long, so just looking to get that touched up. You're probably also asking yourself, Kyle, it's March. Why are we looking at February numbers? And basically, I have put together these beautiful new reports, painstakingly compiled by myself, as well as my team members, because the statistics that we were getting from the state and the county were taking way too long to come in. Normally, I would not even get the first report until the 20th of the month. So now, with the way we do it, I actually have statistics in hand by the 5th. We generate the reports. They're available for download or email instantaneously there. Then I create this video report explaining the statistics and then released to you. So basically doing this has allowed us to get the jump on everybody else, basically. So instead of the statistics video coming out at the very end of the month, we can now usually have it out by maybe the 10th or 11th. We're definitely trying to get it out sooner. My ideal would be if we could get it out by the 7th of the month. That would be firing on all cylinders for sure. Still work in progress though. The other thing to know, and that you're probably curious about, is why we look at year over year instead of month to month. And the reason why is because the real estate market has a natural ebb and flow throughout the course of a year. There are certain months that just are always quiet, usually coinciding with the beginning of school or wintertime. So comparing month to month doesn't have a lot of value, although with where the market is going and what it's been doing the last few months, we are definitely paying attention to month-to-month statistics here at Ashler Home Team. So we normally look at month-to-month. So this month we're looking at February 2023 compared to February 2022. Obviously a lot of stuff has happened since then, and I will get to the explanation of all that stuff by the end of the video. Generally speaking, that's how we structure the real estate stats. There is a ton of terrible information out there currently regarding market stats. The dumbest one that I saw was from Bloomberg, believe it or not. And basically they were trying to paint this huge picture from statistics gathered in 2022, stating that, major market shift was happening, prices are skyrocketing, tons of institutional investor cash buyers. Anyone that pays attention to any of these statistics knows that that is wrong. Anybody that is trying to base 2023 pricing, strategy, purchasing requirements off of 2022 numbers is really doing themselves a disservice, and it's gonna have a bad time. So let's get into these stats. All right, jumping into these Pinellas County stats. Total number of closed sales was down 24.2%. from 1,013 to 768. Total number of cash sales is down 24.4% from 365 to 276. Average and median sales price. Average, as you may remember, if you have 20 houses, you add up the price that is sold at, you divide by 20, that gives you the average. Median is a little different. Median sales price is, let's say that you have 80 houses that sold. The median sales price is the point at which there's an equal number of homes that sold for more as there are that sold for below that point. So it is more of a true, quote unquote, middle point of the market. Now, median sales price was up 4.6%, total of $430,000. Historically, the last few months, Pinellas County has been bouncing around pretty steadily. I'll go over some of those numbers in a bit. Hillsborough has held relatively steady on median sales price, but Pinellas has kind of pinged around a little bit. Average sales price is up 7.5% for a total of $579,042. Now remember, these numbers are all compared to February 2022. So compared to then, yes, we are even or slightly ahead on median average sales price. The overall trend, though, is downward. And especially we are down compared to the peak of market, which is roughly June, July 2022. Median percentage of original list price. So this is basically whenever a house gets listed for sale, what percentage of that original asking price does the house eventually sell for? This has been hanging around like 100%. 101% for years. But now it is down 4.8%, total of 95.2%. Median time to contract is up 371% from 7 days to 33 days. So things are sitting around a lot longer than they used to. New pending sales, it's pretty much held steady, which is good. That has changed a little bit. So we've had a little bit of demand come back in recently. So new pending sales is more of an indicator for like the last 1, 2, 3 weeks, whereas closed sales are based on contracts from like a month ago. Total number of new listings is down 11.9%, total of 924, which is interesting. We've actually, 11% isn't terrible to be down, but still, we had been holding pretty steady on that, so that's a little noteworthy. Total active inventory has more than doubled compared to February 2022. It's up 105.1%. 1,483. Doom and gloom section, which, a lot of people were thinking we were just going to have a huge run of foreclosures and short sales once the pandemic was over. Still not doing anything. So there was a total of 3 foreclosures in Pinellas County in February 2023, which is a drop of 25%, and there was 0 short sales. Let's bounce to these median sales price numbers. Usually I go immediately to the breaking it down by price points, but the median sales price in Pinellas County has really been ping-ponging around quite a bit. My suspicion is this is because the number of closed sales was down. So previous months it was down like 40%, 45%. The number of closed sales has kind of come up a bit, but we're still down. So some of it is going to be just kind of like what is selling. Again, I'll go into that a little bit more with the explanation after I go over the numbers. But for Pinellas County, I wanted to kind of give you the last 6, 7 months of the various prices. We'll go back to the peak of market. So peak of market, July 2022, median sales price was $450. August, it dropped to $435. September, it went down to $421. October, bounced back up to $440. November back down to $420, December back up to $437, January was at $400, which put it on par with Hillsborough, and then February, so our most recent statistics, were back up to $430. Home value doesn't bounce that much. So my suspicion is that this is more of just a sample of the homes that are actually selling, more so than what home values in St. Pete are actually doing, which is confusing, I know, but it's, again, whenever you draft a metric, it is important to know exactly what it's measuring, because on the surface you would just say, oh, home values are whipsawing back and forth like $40,000 every month. Real world, that doesn't happen. All right, so let's get into the various price points, because a $1 million house is going to sell on a little bit different time frames than a $400,000 house. And the reason why is not because, there's some magic trick to selling $1 million houses. Honestly, the process is, the process we use is basically the same. Main difference is the buyer pool is considerably different. There's not as many people looking to buy, $1.5 million houses compared to $300,000 houses. Total number of closed sales. Historically, you might remember there was a break at like 300, 400,000. And that was primarily because home prices had moved so much that many homes had slid up into the next higher sales bracket, or 2 in some cases, because lower price points get broken down by 50,000. All that has changed, especially with the drop in demand. Everything's basically kind of down across the board compared to last year. But again, it's a little deceptive. But I'll just read off some numbers here to you. So 100 to 150,000 is down 66.7%. Total of 3 houses sold in Pinellas County for February 2023. 150 to 200,000 was down 53.3% for a total of 15. $250 to $300,000 was down 48.7%, total of 58. $300 to $400,000 was down 26.1% for a total of 201. $600 to $1 million was down 18.4 to 120, and $1 million or more was down 12.1%, total of 80. Interesting note here. So those compared to Hillsborough County, in Hillsborough County, the 600 and more than $1 million, they actually sold more. Again, primarily because homes have slid up, but it is a little bit of an interesting difference between Hillsborough and Pinellas. Fans of the channel and that have seen these statistics videos before know that every now and then I do enjoy giving out just absolutely ridiculous numbers because, you know, let's admit it, sometimes they're fun. So median time to contract. So this is how long the median time, which remember is the midpoint, that a house takes to go under contract. $250,000 to $300,000 is up 800% to 45 days. That is ridiculous. That is a ridiculous price movement. $400,000 to $600,000 is up 400%, total of 30. Everything's pretty much up across the board, which shouldn't be any surprise because we have a ton of inventory and not as much demand. You know, demand's down 25% currently. Total number of new listings. Now this does mirror Hillsborough County. So basically that 600 and above price point, so 600 to $1 million, we have 22.1% more homes for sale. Total of 177, $1 million or more, we have 33% more new listings for a total of 149, but everything below that is down. So 300 to 400,000 is down 28.4%, total of 219, 250 to $300,000 is down 41.3%, total of 61. And then total inventory by price. And so what this is the last day of the month, we take a snapshot of the entire market in Pinellas County, and we say how many houses are currently available in each price point. The cut has moved a little bit. Currently, it's about 250. So below 300,000, there is relatively holding the same, or there's a lot less available. And above, there's significantly more available. 100 to 150,000, there was a total of one house for sale, which is a decrease of 87.5%. $200 to $250,000 was down 40.5% for a total of 22. 250 to 300, remember that's where we're kind of holding steady there, was technically up 9.8% for a total of 67. 300 to 400,000, there was 267 homes for sale, which was an increase of 85.4%. 400 to 600,000 was up 139.9%, total of 403. 600 to $1 million, up 144.5%, total of 313. And that 1 million mark, there was 172.6 more homes for sale. Total of 398. All right, so let's get into the nuts and bolts, the nitty gritty here of what does it all mean? We got a lot of stuff going on here. Overall, though, the picture I can paint is downward pressure. And that is simply a result of way more inventory for sale and fewer buyers. Although we did have a bit of a bump in the number of buyers in February, you know, compared to 2022, still overwhelmingly a building and inventory market. I will keep an eye on those stats in subsequent months just to see if buyers coming back is the current trend. Things are basically bouncing around. Things are trying to get figured out. I'm sure you've probably been paying attention to the news, heard talk about interest rates and all this other stuff. A few things on interest rate. So the Fed recently just announced that they're probably going to go a little bit higher. Of course, that resulted in mortgage rates instantly going up a half percentage point or so. The last 7, 8, 9 months, it's basically been bouncing around in the sixes. We were, for a little bit of time, down in the 5%, but you know, high fives to high sixes is where we've been hanging out at. I've seen a couple tick over in the 7%, but that's more the exception. But again, you know, that's always in flux currently. Normally, mortgage rates do not move nearly that much in short time. A lot of that is reactionary stuff from lenders trying to predict what the Fed and the market is going to do. Historically speaking, last 20 years, interest rates have bounced between 4% and high sixes. So we're still within range going back to the year 2000. If we are looking at very long time frames, there definitely has been times that were quite a bit, well, considerably higher on interest rates. Talk to somebody who bought a house in the late 70s or 80s, and, you know, they will talk to you about, you know, 10%, 11%, 12%, 15% interest rates. A little bit of a caveat on that, because I know there is a lot of real estate training going on about using that as leverage to get people to buy. The 15% interest rates were not buying $400,000 houses. They were buying like $40,000 houses. So, you know, a little bit of context there matters. But the truth is 4% to 7%, is it as pretty as the 2 to 3% that we had? No, but 2% is the outlier, not 4, 5, or 6%. 4, 5, or 6% is where we have been for the last 22 years. The only reason we were down in low threes and in the twos is because of the pandemic and the powers that be trying to keep things afloat, which has got us the current inflationary rate, which is why things have reversed and why interest rates are so high now, because they're trying to put brakes on it. So 4, 5, 6 isn't terrible, it's doable, but that is one of the primary movers for bringing prices down because that has dropped demand. But same point in time, personally, my belief is that if you're looking to make a positive life change, or if you're looking to take a better job, making a positive improvement in your life, that is the right time to make a move. Because the alternative is you live someplace where you're going to be miserable and that you've already decided that there's a better place that you want to be. So execute and make the move to where you want to be. Interest rates will change. More than likely, they will go down at some point. So technically, yeah, you can refinance. There's other things you can do. We've been negotiating a ton of price reductions, seller concessions, repairs, you name it, just because there is not as many buyers. So we are able to ask for a lot more than we have for years, like 4 or 5 years. One thing that you can ask for is you can ask the seller to buy down your interest rate. And basically what that is seller comes up with money and that drops your interest rate for a year or two. If you happen to be selling another home to purchase a new home, you can put 30 or 40% down, and that will always drop your interest rate significantly below current rates. I just purchased a home in pretty much the peak of the market, and I was able to reduce my interest rate by, I think, 1.5 to 2% off of the going rate just by putting up a sizable down payment. Now, I know 100% that is not everyone's circumstance. I'm just saying that there are options out there. There's first-time buyer down payment assistance programs. There's a lot of options out there. So if you feel like you're on the fence for buying and you know that you're going to be happier somewhere else, just reach out. We'll talk about it. There's probably a solution to make it happen. On the seller side, that time to contract number is getting a little scary. We're definitely getting into buyer market territory, and I want to kind of explain one thing that these metrics are missing, and that is, yes, median and average sales price is still elevated compared to previous years. We're still up compared to January, February 2022, which is pretty good. I mean, that was already well above previous highs, 2006. What these metrics are not telling you is that those pricing stats and the time to contract stats only apply to the houses that are actually selling. There are a lot of homes that are just not selling and they're sitting on the market. There's been price reductions. So those home prices, those time to contracts, those are not being accounted in these metrics. And that's why inventory is up so significantly. That's why we have so many more houses. I mean, yes, it is, well, it's a two-sided thing. So there's low buyer demand, which means there's a lot of inventory getting built. So there's a lot of stuff that's like 90, 100, 120, 130 days. And as those prices come down on those houses that have been on the market for so long and people start buying them, those numbers and those metrics are going to drop. Now, there are rare cases where there are multiple offers on houses. Honestly, a great home and a great location that's a great renovation at a great price, there's always going to be demand on that house. So in those cases, 2, 3, 4 offers is not unusual. If you have a house that's maybe off the beaten path a little bit, or has a couple sore spots with renovations and stuff, you can still sell that house for a great price, but it is going to take a while, and the overall market pressure is working against you on the sales. So if we're looking at the hump here, we're definitely down off the peak, but we're still, let's say this is the baseline. We're still pretty high up there. So if you've been thinking about selling, it's still an amazing time to, cash out, whatever you want to call it, realize your return on investment. Yes, it is not as bananas of a market as it was early 2022, but honestly, early 2022 is not sustainable. Like 7 days to contract and prices going up $30,000 a month, that is not sustainable in the least. So if you've been thinking about selling, reach out, because market's not working in your favor at all currently. Overall outlook, keep an eye on a few things here. So We're looking at demand. If demand comes back, prices are going to come back. And quite frankly, there's still a lot of people that want to move, but they've taken a little bit of a breather to get things figured out. We have had a bump in buyer demand, which, as I mentioned previously, anecdotally in my business, I noticed, had a lot of buyers reach out, a lot of new buyers, a lot of first-time buyers actually, which is awesome to see. And it's nice to see that confirmed in the stats as well. Number of new listings is down, but we're still building inventory just because demand is so low. And interest rates are kind of that, depending upon what interest rates do, that can dictate the demand. So, because people are still a little skittish about purchasing currently. So if interest rates tick back down into the low 6s to 5s, we should see continued building demand. If they hang out high 6s or goes up into the 7, that's going to keep demand low, and prices should fall accordingly. So overall, the only market trend that I can tell you for certain is uncertainty. There's not a clear trend like there has been for the last 6, 7, 8 years. So a lot of people reaching, trying to figure stuff out. So if you see like some statistics reports or news stories that sound like bonkers, just know that a lot of the major organizations basically don't do any research on any of it. Some of the stuff that I've seen Redfin and Zillow put out the last year or so, absolutely terrible. So those are the market statistics for the month of February 2023. Hope you've enjoyed this video and explanation. If you have any thoughts, questions, concerns, please feel free to shoot me an email, kyle@ashlerre.com. There's also a link down below to contact, or you just throw a comment into the video. I try to do one of these every month. So you know what to do, you know what to click. You can also sign up on the website if you would like a copy of those beautiful reports mailed to you. My name is Kyle Sasser, and would love to help you either find a home or sell your home. If you would like some assistance, you can book a call with me. Again, links down below. You can also go to ashlerre.com. We have copies of the statistics there. We have a link to the book a call section. You can also search for your home by neighborhood, school, a few other things there. I'd love to help you with any real estate question you have. Other than that, thank you so much for tuning in, and I'll talk to you soon.